welcome to this deep dive, where we're going to be looking at the ideas from this book, Multipliers,
Yeah.
by Liz Wiseman.
Yeah.
And I think this is especially relevant for, those of us in school leadership.
Yeah. What's so interesting is that Wiseman, she found these two very distinct styles of leadership.
Okay.
And she found this, through her research by interviewing over 150 leaders. And she was able to identify these patterns and how these leadership styles really impact team dynamics and results. Think about your own experiences. Have you ever worked with someone who just seemed to make everyone around them smarter and more capable?
Oh, yeah.
Or have you ever been in a situation where you felt like your ideas were being shut down or your contributions were minimized?
Totally.
It's amazing how a leader's approach can really have that kind of ripple effect.
Yeah. Wiseman actually uses this example of Jasper Wallace to kind of show the impact of what she calls a diminisher. This is a leader who had a great vision, but his need for control really ended up kind of wasting resources and just stifling the organization's potential.
Yeah, Jasper, he was constantly launching all these new initiatives. And he was so focused on micromanaging that it just created chaos instead of clarity. And his team, they were only able to operate at a fraction of their capacity. And they couldn't really effectively execute his vision.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that principal who brings in a new program every other week, but never gives the teachers the time or the support to implement anything properly.
Yeah. It's so frustrating.
It can be incredibly frustrating.
And demoralizing.
Yes, definitely.
For everyone involved.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how many amazing ideas have been lost because of this kind of leadership.
Oh, absolutely.
But thankfully, there's another side to this. There are the multipliers.
Yeah.
And Wiseman highlights Mitt Romney and his impact on Meg Whitman's career. And it's a really powerful example of a multiplier's ability to really cultivate talent.
What's striking about Romney is that he really believed in people's potential. He challenged Whitman. He gave her ownership. And he created an environment where she could really shine. And this ultimately, led her to become the CEO of eBay.
Wow.
This really underscores a crucial point. A multiplier's success isn't about their individual brilliance. It's about their ability to unlock the brilliance in others.
This resonates so much, with the principles of effective school leadership. It's about, fostering a culture of trust and collaboration and shared ownership, which are all essential, for a thriving learning environment.
Absolutely. Wiseman really argues that it boils down to a leader's core assumptions about the intelligence of others.
Okay.
Diminishers often operate from this scarcity mindset, believing they are the only source of knowledge and that others need constant direction.
Right.
But multipliers, on the other hand, they believe in this abundance of intelligence. They trust their team to figure things out.
Yeah, it's a real shift in mindset.
And this simple shift can have a profound impact on how they lead.
It's like that famous quote from Steve Jobs. It doesn't make sense to hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do.
Exactly. Imagine the possibilities if we really applied this principle in our schools.
Oh, yeah.
Wiseman goes deeper into this by outlining 5 disciplines. And these are disciplines that multipliers use to amplify intelligence.
Okay.
There's talent magnet, liberator, challenger, debate maker, and investor. And these disciplines really offer this practical roadmap for educational leaders to enhance their own leadership skills and unlock the potential within their teams.
So let's start with talent magnet. I know Wiseman uses the example of Larry Gelwicks, who was this rugby coach known for his ability to spot and cultivate hidden talent.
Yeah, what's interesting about Larry is he really had this knack for seeing potential in people that maybe even they didn't see in themselves.
And he noticed the speed of one of his players named John. And just by publicly praising John's speed, he ignited this belief in him that led to incredible growth. And I just find it fascinating how, a simple gesture had such a huge impact.
Yeah, it highlights the power of recognizing and nurturing the strengths in others. As school leaders, we need to shift our focus from fixing weaknesses to utilizing strengths.
Yeah, instead of trying to mold everyone into the same ideal.
Exactly. We need to embrace the diversity of talents.
And tailor our approach to each individual.
Absolutely. Think about your staff meetings. Are you looking for and highlighting those unique strengths of each teacher?
That's a good point.
This could be anything. It could be their ability to build relationships with those challenging students. Or maybe their mastery of a particular subject. Or, maybe they have a creative approach to lesson planning.
Yeah.
By acknowledging and celebrating these strengths, you create a culture where everyone feels valued
And motivated.
to contribute.
And speaking of creating, that positive, productive environment, let's move on to the liberator. Wiseman talks about that balance between high expectations and a supportive learning environment.
Yes, a great example of that is Patrick Kelly. He's an eighth grade teacher known for his really demanding but engaging classroom.
Right.
He creates a space where students feel safe to speak their minds, but at the same time, he pushes them to think critically and to support their ideas.
Yeah.
And you see his students thrive both academically and personally.
It's about setting the bar high, but providing that scaffolding
And that support.
to help everyone reach it.
Yeah, and this requires creating a culture of psychological safety
Yeah.
where people feel respected and heard and valued even when they make mistakes.
Right.
Think about Robert Enslin, the executive at SAP.
Okay.
He's known for his calm demeanor even under pressure, and he created this sense of stability. And this is so essential in effective school leadership.
Especially given, all the chaos and pressure that comes with the job. It makes you wonder, how can we actually cultivate this climate of support and challenge?
Well, I think clarity is key.
Okay.
We have to be clear about our expectations, and we have to communicate those consistently, and at the same time, create a space where people feel safe to take risks
Right.
and make mistakes and learn from them.
Yeah, it's that balance
It is that
of
balance
support and accountability.
that allows for growth and innovation.
But I'm curious about the challenger. How do these leaders inspire their teams to achieve extraordinary results?
Well, Wiseman highlights Shai Agassi. He's an entrepreneur, and he challenged his team to create a global network of battery switching stations for electric cars.
Okay.
He didn't just set a goal, he painted this picture of a better future and then challenged them to make it a reality. It was about making a real difference.
Wow, that's powerful. So are you suggesting that school leaders should start thinking about building electric car infrastructure?
Well, not quite, but we can apply the same principles.
Okay. We need to think big
Right.
and define compelling opportunities that ignite our team's passion.
So instead of just focusing on these incremental improvements, we should be thinking about these seemingly impossible goals
Right.
that could really transform our schools and the lives of our students.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It could be anything. It could be dramatically improving literacy rates, to closing the achievement gap, to creating a truly inclusive school culture.
Yeah.
What matters is that the challenge is ambitious and meaningful, something that resonates with your team's values
Right.
and inspires them to push beyond their comfort zones,
It's about setting a high bar.
and then giving them the space to be creative and innovative.
But it's not just about throwing out a challenge and then expecting everyone to figure it out on their own right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Challengers, they provide guidance. They ask those thought-provoking questions to really push their team's thinking.
Yeah.
Agassi, for example, he challenged his team to figure out how to switch a car battery in under 5 minutes.
And they were able to accomplish it in 90 seconds.
That's incredible.
It is. It just highlights the power of setting that clear challenge and then trusting your team to find those solutions.
Yeah, it's amazing what can happen when you give people that space and that freedom.
Absolutely. And this leads to the next discipline, the debate maker. And this is especially relevant in school leadership where collaboration and shared decision-making are really paramount.
So how do debate makers approach decision-making?
Well, they don't just dictate decisions. They understand that the best decisions come from rigorous and inclusive debate,
Okay.
where they actively seek out diverse viewpoints. They
Yeah.
don't think they have all the answers.
Right.
And they believe that by tapping into the collective intelligence of their team, they can make more informed and effective decisions.
It's about recognizing that respectful dissent is not a threat,
Right.
but an opportunity.
An opportunity to refine ideas.
Yeah, and to come to the best solution.
Wiseman uses the example of Lutz Zayab, a general manager at Microsoft Learning. He had to make this big decision about their business model, but instead of just dictating a solution, he engaged his team in this robust debate.
Wow.
He gave them clear assignments, he asked them to gather data and analyze the market.
It's about creating that structure for debate.
Exactly.
So it's not just a free-for-all,
Right.
where the loudest voice wins.
You need that structure. And through that structure, they came to a really good decision. And, think about all the decisions that school leaders have to make on a daily basis.
Well, yeah.
Everything from implementing new curricula to addressing student behavior issues. There are so many opportunities to engage in this kind of debate.
It's about moving away from that my way or the highway mentality.
Yes.
So let's explore all the options together.
That's it. And you know what? It leads to more buy-in from staff and ultimately better outcomes for students.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the final discipline Wiseman discusses is the investor.
Mm.
And these leaders take a really deliberate approach to developing the people around them.
Yeah, they're like venture capitalists. They invest in promising startups,
Okay?
and they provide resources and support,
Right.
but they also hold people accountable.
Right. But it's not a hands-off approach, is it?
No, it's not about throwing people into the deep end and just hoping for the best.
Yeah.
Investors, they're actively involved in the development process, but they resist the urge to jump in and rescue people when they face challenges.
Right.
They know that real growth comes from grappling with those challenges and learning from those mistakes, which I think can be a tough thing for us to do as school leaders.
It's hard to let go.
It is. Wiseman shares the story of Jay. She was a leader, and she resisted that urge to take over this project that was struggling.
Okay.
And instead, she empowered the team leader to find the solution.
Okay.
And the team leader was not only able to solve the problem, but she grew so much in the process.
It's a good reminder that our role is to guide and support, not to control.
Exactly.
By creating space for our teams to own their work and learn from their experiences, we create a culture of continuous learning.
Think about how that applies to your school. When a teacher or a staff member is struggling, do you jump in and rescue them?
Yeah.
Or do you create that space for them to problem solve and to grow? It's a balance. But by adopting that investor mindset, we really empower our teams to reach their potential.
It's about believing in their capabilities,
Yes,
even when they might doubt themselves,
exactly.
and then providing them with what they need to succeed.
And so we've explored all 5 disciplines.
Yeah. The talent magnet, the liberator, the challenger, the debate maker, and the investor.
And these disciplines really provide this powerful framework for understanding how our leadership styles impact those around us.
Yeah.
And they offer practical strategies for us at every level of school leadership. Yeah. And, it's just amazing how these disciplines line up with those core principles of effective school leadership.
Yeah, it's all about, building that trust, fostering that collaboration, and giving our teachers the power to create that learning environment where every student can really thrive.
Wiseman's work really does offer a practical roadmap for becoming the kind of leader that brings out that potential, instead of holding it back.
Absolutely. As we're kind of wrapping up this deep dive into multipliers, I want to shift gears a bit and talk about how we can actually apply these principles in our schools.
A great place to start is with self-reflection.
Yeah, take a moment and think, which of these multiplier disciplines really spoke to you? Was there one that felt particularly relevant to your own style of leadership or even the challenges that you're facing at your school?
Yeah, and it's also helpful to think about, which discipline might need a little more attention or focus, in your own approach to leadership. And, remember, becoming multiplier isn't about being perfect.
Right.
It's about that ongoing growth and development.
We all have our strengths and weaknesses, as leaders. The key is to know what they are and work towards becoming more of a multiplier.
Wiseman has some really practical tips for this journey. She calls them accelerators. And one that I find particularly helpful is the idea of working the extremes.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What does that even mean? It sounds kind of intense.
Oh, no, it's actually pretty straightforward. It's about figuring out what your strongest multiplier discipline is and then taking it to the next level. For example, if you're already good at creating a culture of debate,
Right.
how can you make it even stronger and more inclusive? How can you really push the boundaries of what's possible within that discipline?
So it's like recognizing our natural strengths and then really amplifying them to become even more effective.
Exactly. And it's also about being honest about our weaknesses and then figuring out how to neutralize them so they're not diminishing the intelligence around us.
Right.
It's not about being perfect in every single discipline. It's about making sure that none of our tendencies are holding our teams back.
So let's say you realize, oh, I have a tendency to kind of jump in and rescue my staff when things get tough. That would be something to work on, becoming more of an investor.
Precisely. And, one of the best ways to accelerate that development is to focus on shifting our assumptions.
Ah, yes, we talked about this earlier. It's about moving away from that scarcity mindset of people will never figure this out without me and embracing that abundance mindset of people are smart and they will figure it out.
Yeah, it's such a subtle but powerful shift, and it can really change the way we lead. When we truly believe in the intelligence and capabilities of our team, our actions will reflect that.
And it creates a positive cycle of growth and achievement.
Another accelerator that Wiseman talks about is the 30-day multiplier challenge.
Okay, I love a good challenge. Tell me more.
It's really simple but effective.
Yeah.
You pick one specific practice within a multiplier discipline and you commit to doing it every day for 30 days.
So like if you wanted to become more of a liberator, you might focus on giving more specific and positive feedback to your staff?
Exactly. Instead of just saying good job, you could say something like, I really appreciated how you adapted your teaching to meet the needs of all the different learners in your classroom. Be intentional and specific.
Yeah, and by focusing on just one practice at a time, we're more likely to actually make it a habit and see those results.
Wiseman also emphasizes the importance of building a community of multipliers, and this is especially important in education.
Absolutely. We need to support each other, share those best practices, and hold each other accountable, you know,
Mm.
to becoming the best leaders we can be.
Imagine a whole school district where all the leaders, from the superintendent to the principals to the teacher leaders, were all committed to amplifying the intelligence and capabilities of everyone around them.
It would be amazing. It would be transformative. We could create this ripple effect that not only changes our schools, but also impacts our communities and the lives of our students.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, we want to challenge you, our listener, to take action.
What's one small thing you can try this week, to apply these multiplier principles in your own leadership?
Yeah, maybe you could try asking more questions at your next staff meeting.
Or give your team more ownership on a project.
Or publicly acknowledge a hidden talent you see in one of your staff members.
Even the smallest changes can have a big impact. It's about taking that first step and then building from there.
As you're on this journey to become a multiplier, we encourage you to really dig into the book Multipliers and connect with other educational leaders who are embracing this approach.
Because together, we can create a ripple effect that transforms our schools and empowers every student to reach their full potential. It's just inspiring to think about what's possible. When we as school leaders really embrace these multiplier principles.
It really is. It's not just about making our schools better. It's about giving our teachers and staff and students the power to be their best selves.
Yeah, and in the end, it's about creating a learning environment that's positive and productive for everybody.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to say, becoming a multiplier, it's a journey, not a destination.
Right? It's about constantly learning and growing and finding ways to improve our leadership skills.
And one of the most powerful ways to do that is by connecting with other leaders who share this commitment to multiplying intelligence.
That's why Wiseman talks about building a community of multipliers.
Exactly. It's about surrounding ourselves with people who inspire us and challenge us and, support us in our growth.
We can learn so much from each other by sharing our experiences, our best practices, and even our struggles.
Yeah, imagine a whole network of school leaders who are all dedicated to creating this multiplier effect in their schools and communities.
It would be incredible, what kind of impact we could have if we all work together towards that common goal.
So as you're thinking about everything we've talked about today, all the insights from multipliers, we encourage you to reach out to other leaders in your school, in your district, or even across the country.
Start a conversation. Share what resonated with you and brainstorm ways you can all support each other in becoming better. Multipliers.
Remember, even small changes can have a big impact.
It's about taking that first step and building from there.
By working together, and committing to this journey of growth and collaboration, we can create a much more positive and empowering future for our schools and our students.
That's what makes all of this so worthwhile.
That's it for our deep dive into Multipliers by Liz Wiseman.
We hope you found it insightful and inspiring, and that you feel ready to apply these principles in your own work.
Absolutely. Remember, you have the power to multiply the intelligence and capabilities of everyone around you.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep multiplying that brilliance in your schools.